Please welcome Chief Psychiatric Consultant to the MS Center at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, Dr. Adam Caplan.
You know, Dr. Caplan, I guess one thing I want to say before we even go there is I spent the last 4 years of my life walking around depressed, and until I looked this man in the face, who's Larry Gabel, and said to him I was depressed, I would not have admitted it to anybody, including myself.
Right.
How do we get other people to do the same?
Well, again, I will tell you, Montel, the patients that I see, often there's the feeling that, you know, the depression is really a sign of weakness, of not rising to the occasion. And I will tell you, in fact, the opposite is true. The most depressed patients that I see in my practice are the people like you, Montel, who are so strong that they're sort of suffering through it without actually confronting head-on this additional disease, which is the result of MS. But I think it's important to just take 1 minute and sort of define what we're talking about, because there's so much confusion. But actually, what depression is that we're talking about here is not just sadness. What we're talking about is the clinical syndrome of major depression.
Chemical, is that right, Doctor?
Yeah, it is ultimately related to sort of a genetic vulnerability for many people, not with MS. MS, it's due to the insults coming from the immune system and its effects on the brain. But with many people, it's genetic, it runs in the family, it has the same heritability of high cholesterol, that's sort of how it runs. And I will tell you, you know, I sort of live my life sort of looking under the shell. Everybody doesn't realize how prevalent these things are. 1 in 5 women will suffer from depression at some point during their lives. 1 in 10 men. It's twice as common in women. But people don't talk about it, so you don't know. Every life is touched by it.
What are the signs of depression? For someone listening and watching, what are these signs?
Sure. So that's a great question. And let me tell you that ultimately it is, just to drive the point home, sadness is just one of the signs, okay? If it is trouble with sleep, decreased interest, low self-esteem, problems with low energy, low mood. Say it again?
Weepy, crying.
Weepy, crying.
We're going to get back to you on, Doctor, with all the other things that you have to say about the symptoms, because I'm sure a lot of people are listening. We'll be right back. All right, Dr. Caplan, I want to hear more about the symptoms and going right into how do you get help to erase the taboo? Do you go to a psychologist? Do you go to a psychiatric doctor? Can you get over-the-counter drugs for depression? First of all, let's get into some of the other symptoms that you were discussing before the break.
Sure, and again, just to let you know the importance of this, why it's important to get help, Emmy, is that many people don't realize this. Depression around the world, this is a global thing, this affects all people. It's the World Health Organization did a study back in 1990. Depression is the #1 cause of disability around the world, of all illnesses, cardiac illnesses, cancer and what have you, in terms of the years of life lived with depression.
And suicide.
Yeah,
there must be a large
absolutely.
percentage of people who just, like Montel, just couldn't grasp that last bit of rope.
Absolutely. 80% of people with major depression at some point in their life will have thoughts of wanting to kill themselves. As many as 5 to 15% of people with severe depression will go on commit suicide.
What's the next step? How do you get yourself into a group or therapy or whatever it might be, drugs to help you?
Sure. Well, again, just to begin with, one of the things we need to do is, just like Montel is beginning to do in this case, is sort of raise public awareness about this.
Talk to your family.
Talk to your family. And we need to raise public awareness not just for patients, but for physicians. Not enough physicians are trained in sort of the evaluation of patients. MS, just to get it out on the table, is the #1 cause of all the illnesses that are associated with depression. Depression is most common in MS than any other condition there is. So to not address that is like not asking patients about other common symptoms.
Let's talk about addressing it. You talked about bringing it out into the open. You said that you wanted to talk to your kids right after the show. I want to read something to you. My son sees me as this action hero. He was always bragging that his dad is in better shape than the other dads. So after all this time I spent trying to explain what MS was and how it was affecting me, he still had a question. Daddy, he said, how can you have MS when you're not a sick guy?
And again, that's that thought that we all in this country, I believe, have. We in America look at illness as weakness. I may be ill, but I am not weak by anybody's stretch of the imagination. It's so what I try my best to explain to my son after that was I try to explain to him that, you know what, it's almost as if, you know, for certain, I try to explain the immune system to him in the terms of like armies and wars battling, but my army is attacking me. And I need a bigger arsenal to fight it off. And that explanation worked enough, and now, you know, my son goes snowboarding with me. He does a lot of things with me, but he also is there sometimes when I take my shots, and he wants to pinch the skin so I can stick it in. So, I mean, they are participants, and they also know that if I go someplace like Disney World, which we go a lot, well, if it's hot, if that temperature goes above 85 degrees, I'm not playing. It's just not that simple. It starts to shut me down. A lot of us with MS have a difficulty regulating our heat in our body and our temperature, and as the temperature goes up, it exacerbates some of our symptoms. So for me to go to Disney World with the kids in the middle of the summer, you know, the kids have to, and my children accept that. They know, Dad, my son will say, go stand in the air conditioner for a while, I'll go ride the beast and I'll be back. You know what I mean? So he'll go ride a roller coaster and come back.
You don't know this, but Nancy Davis, the creator of Race to Erase MS charity event, she had this to say about you.
The first year that Montel came out saying that he had MS, I truly believe he was so courageous. It was so amazing what he did, and how many people were so attracted to him because of this. They were all suffering very much in silence, and they came out, and he became a real advocate for people, and he made such a big difference. And for that, that takes an immense amount of courage, and I thought there couldn't be a better award than to give Montel Williams the Man of Courage Award.
So the Man of Courage. Do you see yourself as a man of courage?
You know, I have to look at myself and understand that, truthfully, every day it takes courage, I believe, to do what it is I do. But do I consider myself a courageous person? No. But see, I'm really tough on me. I'm telling you, I've been one of the hardest. That's the reason why I have some of the issues that I have in my life. I've really been tough on myself my whole life. I don't accept just mediocre. I don't accept the bottom line.
Did it stop you from getting the help for 20 years?
Oh, yeah.
But you had one doctor that said that this is not your death sentence.
Absolutely.
And we'll be right back. I'm Emmy, and I'm talking to Montel about his new book he's written called Climbing Higher. And Montel.
You know what? Okay, yeah, this is at that point in the show.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd better do this because, you know, there's been some false information that has been written about me in the last couple of weeks, and I want to make sure we get that information clear so you know exactly where I stand on an issue. I dedicated an entire chapter in this book to something that's probably going to take a lot of people by surprise, but I don't think there's been another show to even attempt to do this in daytime, but I'm going to do it right now and come out forwardly and tell you that the pain that I suffer, and there are a lot of people who suffer the same kind of pain that I do, I have some choices. I can go to a doctor who will prescribe me anything I want. And I'm going to say to you clearly, I've had everything they can prescribe, from Tauin to Percocets to Vicodin to Oxycontin, you name the drug. I have tried it. I have had a very good friend of mine approach me and say to me that, you know what, the kind of pain that you have, I know what would probably help you, and it's medicinal marijuana, period.
Is it legal in the state of New York?
It is not legal in the state of New York. It's only legal in 9 states across this country. You can get it by prescription in 9 states across this country. And let me just say, because this is the one that every news outlet in America is going to jump on right now and complain about Montel saying. Let me just put this to you. If anybody in this room had a child who had cancer right now and the doctor said to you the only chance for curing your child was to give them chemotherapy, would you put them on chemotherapy, yes or no? Yeah. If a doctor came to you and said to you, you know, your child is suffering from an infection and we have got to put them on a high level of antibiotics, you would probably accept that. I'm here to tell you that there are doctors in this world who have researched it, looked at it, they understand it for the disease that I have and for AIDS and also for
cancer.
Some forms of cancer. Medicinal marijuana works. Just like a lot of other people who have to take pain medication, I manage my pain like most people do in this society. I don't take my pain medication when I have to go to work.
There's a lot of people.
I go home
Yeah.
and I do so. But and it's all about compassionate care. I'm not talking about legalizing marijuana for everybody and their mother. If you want to go get it, that's your problem. You want to legalize it, you go fight that battle. I'm not fighting it. The battle I'm fighting is the fact that I will tell you right now, the difference between me being a tax-paying citizen in this country and being at home and drawing off of your money is the difference between me eating or consuming medicinal marijuana in the evenings to be able to work the next day. It's it. If I don't, I'm going to become a draw in this society because I am going to become a Percocet or a Oxycontin addict, and I've already been down that path.
Do you take marijuana when you are not feeling pain? Do you take it only when you're feeling pain? Like,
I utilize it the way my doctor has prescribed me to utilize it.
okay.
And that is when I need it for the pain or when I need it to be able to deal with the symptoms that I have, I use it. There are times that a lot of us who suffer from this illness know this. We go to sleep, we can bounce people off the bed with us. I go to sleep, I twitch like no tomorrow.
What about the lectures that you've done with kids?
I have told every child across America that it is an illegal drug, and I'm not asking this country to legalize it. Right now, marijuana is put in the category of the worst drug on the planet. It is in category 1. It is in the same category as heroin. Several people have said lately that it's the most addictive drug on the planet. It is not. It has been researched and has been studied over and over again. Almost every study comes back with doctors agreeing to the same thing, and that is to legalize this drug for medicinal purposes for MS, AIDS, and cancer. Now, if my choices are to become a morphine addict on a morphine drip or eat something that came up out of the ground, I'm taking a lesser choice for me.
All right. Why don't we welcome Jana and her sister?
Yes, please.
Let's
please.
do that.
Welcome to you because you wanted to talk about this issue also. And let's take a break first and then we'll come back and discuss it. Let's do that.